Ready?
Yeah, we're good.
Sorry. Let's say the pledge of allegiance.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the roll call show that all the governing body is present. We do have a quorum. Our discussion. This workshop is called for, talk about our budget.
Hey, Mike. You can sit up there, in the clerk's spot since she's online. Oh, you're not down there.
Do we want to start with Mike? So he.
I was thinking, yeah. I think that'd be appropriate, right?
So he can get to.
Yep.
Getting one.
Sorry, Mike, didn't mean to keep you here long. You needed to
Maybe
be.
a third page, streets and alleys, park and rec, and then the water and wastewater.
Mike, do you want to take that speaker, your microphone that way? We can.
This one and this one, streets and alleys, parks and rec, and then your water and wastewater. I kind of pre-fill these in for you, but if you think you need more or less on those.
The third page.
So if you don't have any problems with that, but that's where, just go over those two, make sure you're okay with those numbers here. If you have any issues, now's your chance to bring them up. And then water and wastewater, we haven't done anything with that.
Okay.
We're on streets and alleys, right?
Yep.
I just want to make sure I was on the right page. So it looks like the salaries went down.
That's because Bart was made full-time middle of the year, so he's under, a lot of it is under water. And then also the part-time help reduce that. That's why it went down, because it's one of those things that's split amongst multiple departments. So that's why it looks like it went down, but it just changing status.
I got you.
Basically, prior to this, Bart was mainly a part-time help under streets and alleys and parks and rec, and then we made him full-time with
So
water and sewer. So some of the salaries under water and sewer, not just parks and rec. So that's why it appears to have gone down, but it really didn't.
So tree maintenance went down.
Yeah, really. Yeah. That's for, oh, not fertilizing, but the injections they do on the trees, like the parks and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm talking about,
For
right?
bugs and.
Yeah,
And nutrients and such.
yeah, just on the, and then,
You talking about?
uh,
She was
tree
skipping to
maintenance,
Parks and Rec,
yeah.
tree maintenance.
Sorry, I was just looking at it and I asked.
So we're gonna address streets and alleys first? That's where we're at. I'm asking Mike. Yeah. Which one, where do you wanna start first?
Did you guys already do Parks and Rec?
Nope.
Nope.
We put those numbers in there like I told you, but, you know, take a look at the proposed, you have any issues with those?
Parks and Recs, where we usually put that part-time worker.
They're both, they're split, streets and alleys and parks and rec. That's why if you look, the salaries and stuff are all the same between the two.
So the 7294 represents how many hours at what wage?
Uh,
That just our summertime?
part of it's BART and then the other between the two departments,
Okay,
is part-time. I believe it's $15 an hour. I think it's 15, right? 15 or
The
16,
part-time?
yeah,
I think it was,
yeah,
15 or 16.
I think that's what. That's
and
what
480 hours a year.
Thought I seen something on that other one.
It's on that other.
Other
spreadsheet.
sheet, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
I seen that,
yeah, that's where the part-time is.
okay, and that's in here too, okay.
Yes, that's 480 hours. Just about.
Mike and I've been talking about that. We may look at sort of like what we did in the past and hire like a junior in high school, it'd be 16 if I remember right. That could pick this up and maybe next year as a senior. They do have at Job Corps, they have a training to help you get certified in wastewater and water. I know Hudson just hired someone that did that. Or, we might be able to, that'd be someone in in a year and a half from now or something like that, or 2 years. Depends on what
Yeah, they
our
start.
staff does. We have maybe a young person that we're getting trained.
What's it cost us to send them to school for that water training and
Nothing.
nothing at all? So I'd say I'd hate to put somebody through all that and then they think, oh, I'm gonna go to this big town and do it.
Well, correct. And you
Well,
got that.
yeah, they can do that.
Yep.
If you come up with some, make an agreement with them to work, so many years after they're certified,
right,
make some kind of agreement with them. Ask them, serve for at least 5 years, 6 years, and then after that you can
right,
go. I mean, something like that would work. I mean,
Maybe
just to
we
keep
get a
them
Shosh-
because I know that this is not the highest paying field, that we worked in this one. And I've seen a lot of them that started, they had potential, they knew what they were doing, but they seen a different job, more money. So they just, they left. They left from when I was training them. I trained a lot of young guys over the years,
right,
and every one of them had bailed on me because of the payment, the
right,
pay. I couldn't get them any more money, but they're getting more money. Some of it was like $5 more, so they just said, "Well, I'm gonna go." But I'd already trained them to be run equipment and do whatever, and so they took off. But that's, like I said, if you make some kind of deal with them at the beginning, after they get certified and everything, just, have them stay 5, 7
bonus
years,
or
make them
something.
commit to the
a sign-on
job,
bonus or something,
commit to the job for 5 or 7 years, and then they can, move on.
And that's why to hire someone from Shoshone if we can. They
right,
may want to stay, they have family here, want to live here. And that's why the thoughts were go to Shoshone High School and see if we can't find that person. It's a gamble, but
So, but the budget has 480 hours, which is 40 hours a week for 3 months
right,
is what it's budgeted for. So, for the part-time portion.
so July, August, September, it would cover and probably if it's a high school student, junior, you're gonna lose him. School starts, I don't know, but it was just a thought.
No, but it's in the budget for whoever they hire, whatever the plan is, but that is what Mike and you guys want to do with that,
Would have to be at least 16 though, right?
I guess,
To
yeah.
run Mowers and everything.
Yeah, I think they do, if I remember that law correctly.
Weed eaters and all that, I think
Yeah.
they do have to be 16 years old,
Yeah,
which is kind of silly, but
I think that's,
to run.
we can double check it, but I think that's what it,
I'm pretty sure it is.
yeah, that's what I think it is.
But-
I think that's what I remember.
Yeah, long range, if that's, what it morphs into, that'd be awesome, to put them through that and have them stay here and, when Bart or whoever, looks at, by then starts looking at retiring, have someone to step into their place and, with the budget, if that's, who we hire and that's the plan, keep them in there for the next 2 years and then put them through the job corps or whatever, and that'd be great. So,
But I reached out to Job Corps about that, but I know Hudson's really happy with they hired, put him through it, he's 19 years old. And the mayor just really likes him. That he's doing a great job, he's got both his certifications. And I think he likes the responsibility and is doing good. I hope, she's just tickled pink with him.
Yeah.
So and I know Job Corps was doing that, working with FCAG on trying to get some of that, because it's hard to get that, and they trained a few people. I don't know where they all went, but that was good. That's a good thing.
I don't think it's something we should not look into.
That was Mike, and I was getting, Mike brought up, hadn't had too good luck at that, but
works out, next couple of years, that'd be great.
we're really not out much, as long as the kid does a good job for us. I know it worked real well. I forget that kid's name, did really well for a couple of years. And we forget the names of the movie.
okay, let's move on.
So on streets and alleys, that looks like that should be suitable, Mike. Is there any concerns you have with that?
No, it is. Okay. Well, one is in the paving that, I forgot how much, yeah. The winter hauler boys are gonna charge for painting, striping these parking lots here and at the clinic and doing some crack sealing.
Yeah,
I
we
did
do
get a-
need to address that.
I did get a, quote last year from, I forget exactly what it was.
Yeah, we were gonna try to get them down last year and they couldn't.
Yeah,
For some
they're-
reason they didn't do it.
but they're willing to work, if we have a set amount, say like 10,000, they're willing to work till they get that $10,000 mark and then quit and wait till you get more money to then come in and do some more work. He's willing to work like that, he said. That's the Robert Winterholler, and I forget his brother's name.
Yeah, I see that number. We reduced it from 8 to 5. And what did we spend last year? Did we spend all of it? I think we did.
3,500,
Huh?
3,500.
That was just on Main Street, right?
Yeah. Crack seal or not chip seal,
Yeah.
crack seal.
Yeah.
They're blowing out the cracks and sealing them up on the pavement or the asphalt.
Well, why don't we try to chase down that number, Mike, and see kind of where we're at on that?
Okay.
See if,
We'll leave it at 5 for now, huh? And just see how it develops.
Now we can always adjust it and, gravel, we haven't spent 10,000, so I don't know if that. Keep that the same or just. $2 in one pot, $2 in the other pot and move it. I don't know.
I
That's,
think we should keep that just in case. We never know what the weather's gonna do.
on that gravel, that would include road base and all, I imagine.
yeah,
If a guy needs it.
Yep.
How much do we usually spend on that?
varies from year to year.
I guess depends on what's going on.
No, one year we got a pretty good price on, so we stocked up.
Yeah, I mean,
Did a couple of years in one because the price was right. That's what, 2, 3 years
Last
ago, I
couple of
think.
years, you haven't been able to get any.
yeah. but
Right,
that's
it's hard to get,
Part of the
yeah.
problem is that they're not producing it the way it was before, so. It's a. I know YDOT's helped us out in years past a little bit here and there, they could, but with
Right.
the state not being able to get it, much less us, I don't think they'd be helping us out this time right now, because they don't have the stockpile.
So just paving on streets, alleys. Possible. Parks Rec.
So back to your tree maintenance, which trees are we talking about?
The
ones in the
trees,
parks?
the trees in the plaza and it's in the senior. Housing. And then there's a couple trees that's not,
Centennial.
that is, yeah, Centennial. And then the trees at the rest area are actually covered by the bus maintenance YDOT grant line item. So those ones aren't included. That's why it's reduced, because the town's not gonna pay for the YDOT rest area 100%. We're gonna pay where we get reimbursed 50/50.
Mhm.
So that's why that one was reduced, basically. Well, proposed to be reduced.
So we have a bus.
Once a week.
East side of town where the bathrooms are and.
Yeah.
that little-
Yeah, bus used to stop there.
Well, it used to
Still
stop
does.
there.
What does again?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Every week. Yep,
Okay,
every Wednesday.
okay.
whether we need it or not, it comes by.
Yep, sometimes people jump
Still
on
from
it.
Billings?
I'm not sure the route that it goes to, but I want to say it goes. Well, it obviously goes somewhere. I think it goes up towards Cody or Billings, yeah.
It used to Billings to Denver.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
I think that's the route.
Yeah.
So, you wanna buy a ticket, you just stand there and wait for the bus to show up and buy it from the driver?
It has a designated time frame. I think it's 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. Don't quote me. I don't know because I don't drive the bus, but there's a specific time that it picks up and drops off.
Good to know.
I think Tuesday it comes from the north, then Wednesday it comes from.
Yeah, I
West.
think that you're probably
Yeah.
right.
I picked up a guy once, it was raining like a cow peeing on a flat rock and took him to Riverton. Cause he needed to go to Lander. So they let him go into town hall there and wait while someone came and got him from Lander.
Well, we take people to Riverton all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they bring them back.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the tree maintenance thing.
Okay.
Just because we have a lot of bug problems, so if we don't treat the trees, then they end up dying off because of the beetles and the other, I can't remember the other bug.
Guess it goes Shoshoni to Fort Collins, Shoshoni to Phoenix, Billings to Shoshoni is the bus route, Greyhound bus routes. In case you're dying to ride one.
Ready for a bus ride or what?
I'm just impressed we have a broad bus, yeah.
Ready to go on vacation via bus?
I mean, see the world, right?
I
12 hours
see,
later, wake up and see you're in Casper.
It's like on Tuesdays at 9:55 AM.
We go.
Yeah.
is all the uniform money put in to Parks and Rec? Not split up with anybody else?
No, it's not split up. We added that years ago and I mean, there's not much for uniforms that they really request, so maybe some shirts or whatever they need or
It is 500. I'd sure like to see our Public Works wearing Shoshoni shirts. Gives a professional look.
yeah, and $500 we can get shirts through Stitches. Now I have a logo and they can do it like this where they etch them in. So this cost, now that we have everything set, it's just buying the shirts, which are like $40 a shirt. Depending on what polo shirt or work shirt or heavy duty shirt that you want to get. These are $80 a piece, these shirts. So it really depends what shirt you would like. But there's only 3 of them. So you don't have to worry about like duty belts and
Right.
everything else. So
Like 15 shirts.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
and then the embroidery is like $8 a shirt. The embroidery. And then with the patches, we can have the patches made of the town logo if you want that, or however. All the buddy did was just have a town of Shoshoni on a little nameplate, just a town of Shoshoni on it, didn't have a whole logo or anything, but we can do that too.
So if you bought 15 shirts and how much you think a shirt with everything? That $50 a
Well, for the
shirt?
police department,
$40?
we buy 3 shirts for everybody, so they only get 3.
I know,
Yeah, but you're not mowing yards.
I know my cost on wholesale shirts is $10 per shirt. That's
Yeah, it depends on the shirt you get. Like I said, these are.
You want a
super heavy duty.
Carhartt shirt, you're a Carhartt moisture wicking, work style shirt, you're looking probably about $27-28 a shirt. That's my cost. That's no resale cost.
Yeah,
Then you want them stitched or printed, you figure about 20% on that.
$750 for shirts.
Yep.
That would cover it well.
okay, so $750.
It's just a question.
If that's what we're doing.
I don't know that. The thing is on the shirts, are they gonna wear them? You give them 3 shirts, are they gonna wear them? And then what happens when you wear them and they do some painting or staining and then they're toast?
I'd need 5 shirts.
I would need 5 and they'd be wasted a month.
I know that we're at the shop.
Give me some Fruit of the Loom cotton ones and.
We get
call it
11
good.
sets.
Oh, wow. Well,
But-
yeah,
An iron on Shoshoni.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It can be a little bit dirtier work. Some of the physical labor, so a guy ought to have a week's worth, I would think. I don't,
What do you think, Mike?
Think that's something that's necessary?
Well, I don't know. I guess you could wear them.
I think it gives a
Just
professionalism
a shirt,
look.
it's just a shirt.
Maybe you have to buy them yourself.
I would rather see personally. If that's the route you wanna go is in the professionalism look, a nice hat with like a leather patch or something that says. You know, some of that. Because a hat is gonna be less. Apt to be destroyed. A shirt, they're gonna pick up a rusty pipe, be in a hole digging. It's gonna. Yeah, 4 or 5 of them are gonna be handled pretty quick.
I guarantee that you're not work in the conditions I did working on the oil rigs.
Well, we're not talking about that.
No,
We're
but I'm
talking
telling you,
about-
but the shirts, we wore them there. With the
Okay.
bed, with the better companies that wanted to take pride in their job, we wore
Well,
them.
I also work oil field, Joel, oil and gas, and we get about $2,000 allowance per 6 months for clothing. So, wow, do we want to get into? No, I
No,
don't
we
think
don't.
this is something that is of importance.
Do you think hats or shirts would be better?
What kind of shirts?
Shirts or hats? Saying that you're employees of the town.
I'll be hats.
Hats?
I wanna see shirts. I think.
Well, some,
shows
anyway,
it-
that'll make you stand out as an employee.
That
Right,
one?
not right, some that'll make you stand out that you're an employee. But right now, when we go house to house, we throw our vests on.
And they say Shoshoni on them?
No,
No.
we just throw our vests on to make it look like we're workers. Make it look like we're workers.
oh, the reflective vests,
Huh?
the reflective vests.
Yeah, we throw
Oh,
those
yeah.
on. Yeah, we're gonna go to people's houses.
Well, the
We throw our vests
town ain't
on.
so big that people don't know who you are.
Yeah,
So,
but They just, some of them get antsy when you show up.
wonder why.
You can buy a case of hats for $500 and that's
Right.
40, 50 hats, you know.
So the world I came from in a previous life, I mean, everybody looked the same. We had shirts, we had pants, and we had hats and other sets of uniforms. So in the Air Force, I'm talking about first. And you, of course, knew that in the Army and it, frankly, it's a good look, so I think hats are a good idea. I think shirts are a good idea. I think both hats and shirts together is a gooder idea.
I agree,
So,
I agree.
because if you have just a shirt, then, the ensemble is incomplete. But if you do have a hat that goes with it, that is a fitting hat. One that, aligns nicely with the setup.
So
It looks professional,
for the police department, our hats that we bought the leather patch. And
Nice hat.
there's a minimum order of 12 that we had to get. It was $200 for 12 of those patches. And that came with the design and stuff. And then the hats were 25 bucks a piece. Is what she charged, and they're, fitted hats. So each hat essentially was costing, I want to say $50 per hat with the patch and everything on it, right about $50. So, if we got 2 hats per employee, 6 hats, there's $300 or 300 bucks. And then the shirts, probably about $750 to get the shirts. So that's depending on what shirt you got, from $500 to $750 for enough shirts for everybody. So probably you need about I'd say about at least $1,000 in uniforms to get shirts and hats.
Well, I don't know, maybe probably not the quality hats, but I can get pretty good hats for quite a bit less.
Those are good hats.
Yeah, those are real good. They're nice looking. Yes, they are.
And let's not forget, I mean, we have 4 seasons, you know, particularly winter and summer. You know, and so, you know,
Well, we got actually half and half. We got half hats and half beanies. So in the winter time, we have beanies,
beanies, okay,
and then the summertime, we have hats.
well,
Yeah.
still something on your head,
Mhm.
right? So, but so that's your winter uniform versus your summer uniform.
Yeah,
So,
because
you
Well,
know,
they had on here for uniforms before 1,500. So why don't we put it back at 1,500?
See, and Mike, do you have some money left over that you haven't spent this year on uniforms? Don't think you did, you can maybe,
yeah, we get some of them this year too.
yeah, what I'm thinking.
I just need to know right first, what do we want to go with? 1,000, double the 1,000, do you go 1,500?
you know, these are people that are working in their shirts. So I think 1,500 would make a lot of sense to me. For the reasons.
And just for comparison's sake, for the entire police department, which is fitting 6 people, our budget last year was 3,500 for uniforms. Just keep it in perspective.
And that was for 6, and they have 3.
Yep.
What about the part-timers? Are we gonna give them shirts or?
Well, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it across the.
Right,
board.
that's why I'm
I-
asking, are we doing it for all?
I think if we do it, we gotta do it for full-time, part-time.
But we only have one part-time, right?
Right.
I think you
I
gotta,
think 1,500 would be enough.
I think so.
What about vests? I mean,
What about boots?
no, I'm saying rather the hat, shirt, all that, what about a quality town of Shoshone vest?
What about boots?
What about boots?
It's not.
Well,
that
they're in the
big.
boots all day.
I've been wearing my own, buying my own boots for the last 48 years. I'll continue to, so everybody else can as well, but saying if we're trying to do a uniform,
Are you thinking
Professional
maybe
look.
vests instead of shirts?
Yeah. yeah, so they already say they're doing the
My
vest.
shoes were just.
When dealing with the public, what if we got like uniform quality town of Shoshone Public Works vest?
Okay,
You
so
think
we
that's
quote
better?
$2,000 and we add the vest to the ensemble.
I meant in,
I know that's all you're thinking.
He's talking about no shirts, but vests.
No, I
Mike
know.
didn't seem too keen on the shirt idea. I mean, we talk about wages and employee retention and the happiness of our employees. So if they're not keen on the shirt plan, maybe we should consider the fact that they're not keen on that. The hat deal, I know that. Have you seen them guys wearing hats?
No, I don't see Mike wear a hat.
There you go. They don't like wearing hats.
I see Mike Letch wear a hat.
Cowboy hat.
I see him wear a cowboy hat and I see him wear a ball cap.
I haven't
see him wear
seen
a
that
ball
one,
cap.
but I believe, yeah.
In wintertime, he wears a wool one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
I-
always in it.
Just as a
And
thought.
Bart
about it.
is always in a ball cap, no matter if it's 80 below or.
Well, I bet
80
you
out.
if you offered to buy Mike Letch a 10X Stetson that said town of Shoshone on it, he'd damn sure wear it.
Cool.
They're only about $400 or $500. I've just thrown that out there. What if we got like Public Works Work Fest?
Would you think that would be better?
Yeah,
I think
Vests and hats?
Carhartt, nice vest, pretty reflective ones.
It'd be a professional uniform look about it.
Right.
Okay, I think $1,500 would still cover everything. For 3 employees. or-
Right. More with them.
You know, if we got a vest, we could, you know, set up, then, you know, I still think that, you know, for the professional look also is a uniform look. You know, uniformity is a big part of that, you know, and so, you know, what we could do is provide somewhat of a, you know, clothing allowance and say, you need to buy shirts that are this color. You need to, and no patterns. I mean, you don't think so, Tammy?
I don't think so.
Well,
I think,
This is
I think-
Shoshone.
I think we're
Well,
gonna piss people
yeah,
off.
but I've heard a lot of
Piss
things. This is
people off, I get
Shoshone, that's why we're
vests.
a dump.
Well, they already have to wear the reflective.
Nobody said
vests.
we're a dump.
Per,
Oh, yeah, they,
That's what I've heard.
yeah.
well, they used to, we've gotten there.
I think just a nice vest and a hat to match. Same thing for the winter time. Because that way the vest can go over their coat.
Well, give them the option to buy a hat. If they don't want the hat, they don't have the hat. I think if you make anything mandatory.
I just
I'm
need
gonna
to know
tell
how
you
much to
this.
put in the budget here. I mean, we can,
Yeah, that's
Let's
what
go with 1,500.
Yeah.
1,500, Mike?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, and one
We
thing
agree.
we don't have is their opinion either. You know,
Yeah,
so if we had a budget of 1,500 and, you know, let Mike work with his people about what their options. are.
yeah, which one they
Right.
wanna do, yeah.
But
I
he's
think
got
if you make
1,500 to
anything
figure.
mandatory, you're just gonna piss them off.
Yep.
Okay,
They're just trying to make the town employees look professional.
I understand, but I think if you try to make it that we're going to a private school. Everybody's gotta wear a blue polo and brown khakis. It ain't gonna go over well.
Well, I didn't think I'd like it when I first seen Parker did that, but actually did. Got
so Mike, you got
pride in the job.
$1,500 right now, so figure out what you wanna do, and then I guess you can let the council know, and
all right, I'll ask Mike and Bart tomorrow. Get their input.
Okay, can we move on now?
Council expenditures, can't really change that. It's set by
well, there's.
travel and training.
There's items on there that. Council,
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I know in the past, and I can't remember if it was Mike or Bart, but they said it sure would be nice if the town would supply them with shirts. Work
Okay, we're
shirt.
giving that option. Which they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that.
Get this travel and training. That's for Wham and all that, right?
no,
So we're not to wastewater and everything yet, or where we at?
Council expenditures.
No, we haven't done, have we done wastewater
No.
and water expenditures? That's still Mike's.
yep, that's not me.
That's what we need to stay on. That's not in order. So which one you wanna tackle first, Mike, wastewater or water?
I wish I,
Wastewater, okay, go ahead. Everybody find it?
So wastewater.
Yes.
That's.
yeah, and the supplies there, I'm running low on clamps, on those full circle clamps. They run about 475. From 365 to 475, depending on the size. And I have two sizes of pipe over there.
So
I
we
used my
need,
last two 6-inch full circle clamps to repair a leak. And I got another leak. We haven't dug that one up yet. I don't know if it's on that valve or if it's somewhere along that pipe. I don't know.
so you're
I
saying we
don't
need
know
to
what
put your
size that
supplies
is.
up?
Yeah, so
What do you want your supplies up to?
maybe,
At least 4 clamps?
huh,
You want at least 4 clamps? If you think.
well,
you're
yeah,
gonna get-
well, I need two different sizes,
Right,
cause I've come across 6-inch and 4-inch. 6-inch, ductile and 4-inch PVC.
okay,
There's, the first one we fixed was it was a, PVC. So I thought we were running PVC, and this last one we dug up was ductile,
okay,
so.
and that was a
That's
4-inch,
That was 6-inch,
6-inch,
yeah,
okay,
so. So in order for me to repair them, I usually have to cut out a piece
yep,
and then.
clamp
I
on
just
each
use a
side,
full circle clamps on them,
yep,
and they run from 365 to 100, 150, I think, depending on the size. And I used my last two 6-inch that I had. Well, and I don't got no more 4-inch. All I got is 3-inch, and I haven't run across any 3-inch yet.
So how many clamps do you need?
I probably need about 4 more, 2 of each, two 6-inches.
at a minimum,
Depending on how
So
many breaks, I mean, what breaks and I'm going. That system is old. This last break was the
24
bell and
bucks in
spigot.
Clamps.
So
It was on the bell and
1200 bucks
spigot
for
where it was leaking.
What do we
Yes,
move
do
My
it?
thought
repair.
there
What
is
do we
that
move
gasket on the
it?
inside
Just to
finally got
cover
corroded enough to,
it and not.
it wasn't holding there.
supplies,
So I just cut that bell and spigot out, and put a
probably
piece in,
2,500.
piece of 6-inch,
1200.
If
900,
he's already out.
because it matches the same size with,
Well, 1,200.
ductile iron.
Then you can have 1,200.
and that's the only way those full circle clamps will work.
I say,
If they're the same size, the pipe's gotta be same size, because if they're not, they're,
Are
it will
these
not work.
supposed to carry
Then you have to
over?
go to
No, I didn't.
Mechanical.
Because we haven't talked about this at all. So
Mechanical,
there's
you'll
nothing
change.
set.
in transition gaskets, if the pipe is different sizes.
I say on supplies, we move him from the 2,000 to 4,000. Or
No,
maybe-
right now he has
It's a
nothing
one.
budgeted for
Not
supplies.
one,
There's nothing, there's zero. Wastewater,
Yeah, if you look
He's
under,
got 2,000 on water. Okay, my bad. I'm on the wrong page. But he has,
we haven't filled any of those in.
so we're doing nothing on,
right, yeah, nothing's been proposed yet,
We're
so
on
it's
wastewater.
quite sleek.
yes, that's what we're at right now.
so on the supplies, he needs $1,200 just for the parts, and that's if
At bare minimum.
at bare minimum. So I think $3,500 is 35 or 4.
I think. Or,
If you need at least
4 now.
4 now. Yeah.
you need 4 now, and you probably should have 4 backup.
that's 2,400.
Yeah, something like that. As long as I have backup all the time.
Yeah, long,
Some should,
gotta
yeah.
have backup.
I'd say 4.
So that'd be 8 total. And what's the price each? Approximately
They
$300 a piece.
365 to
Four.
450.
300 to 450,
So $400.
400 is a good average.
$3,200 right
30.
there.
8 times 4, 32. Right?
4,000 gives him $800 to play with.
In case you have something else, which probably gonna happen.
So it's
But like I
4
said,
now.
I don't know what's leaking on that, what air's coming out of that valve box. I
Okay,
don't know if it's that valve or if it's along that pipe.
Is 4 enough, or should that be 5?
4 should be, because I only use 2 at a time.
And how many
Depending on the
have you
break.
used this year?
I know I use two at a time.
How many have you used for
For this,
half of,
for what I,
half of 24 and so far now?
I use 2 on the 4, or no, is it 2? Yeah, 2 on the 4, no, 3 on the 4, because one was just a little crack, so I just put a wraparound around it. But on the other one, I had to replace the pipe, so I used 3 4-inch there, and then I used just 2, my last 2 6-inch wraparound.
So that's 5 already.
That's the ones I replaced, I mean, where I find the leaks. Usually them leaks, they'll show themselves in the wintertime because of the hot
Right.
air.
Yeah.
And there's a section that don't have no snow and then you, so we just start figuring out where it's at, walk that line, see where, you eventually can see where it's pushing soil out.
We don't
There's
have
no
more.
backup on it. I like the idea of 4,000,
I do too.
Works, at least four would work.
because that provides for the 7 breaks, like the 7 that were used, and then just as an estimate, and then a little wiggle room in the, if needed, the backup stuff.
What do you got planned for training this year, Mike?
No, just Mike's going down to the
You-
conference.
You gonna have much for, this is for next year. For the whole year, starting in July. Is Mike gonna need some? I don't know.
Well, for
Continuing
this year,
education,
It's going down in a couple of weeks here.
So that'll won't.
that's all this year.
Yeah, this year, that'll be this year's, but for next year, I haven't thought that far ahead. I mean,
Is that on the wastewater side or just?
but both on, well, he's trying to get his wastewater hours. He's got his water hours and his license will renew at the end of the year. He has enough hours on it. Cause I sent him last year too, so. When he goes, I just tell him what put his put his hours, and he needs. I forget exactly how much he needs to, cause you need to take your test and pass, you, in order to get your license, you'll need I think it's 36 hours of your CEU, so he's short like 5 or 6, I'm not too sure.
So
On
last year, or the year we're in right now, we had $1,000 for training. Is that good enough or should we have more for next?
Well, next year, like I said, I really don't know who's gonna. Cause Mike's license will be good till for 3 years. Me, I usually do online training. I just got one my level 1 that's gonna expire into
Right.
this year, but I only need 5 hours, I think. But I'm gonna go down to pre-conference and I can get 4 hours there.
Well, do you want to leave $1,000 as we did last year for now? And if you think it should be more or less, you'll come back to us with it?
Yeah,
Is a
it
question.
should be all right.
That
Yeah,
seems
1,000.
okay.
Cause usually the conference usually is 395 for members.
Okay. We had 500 last year for vehicle and repair. We only have one older vehicle we're running. We do have some, if I remember talking with you, we do have some repair work need to be done on the super sucker and the backhoe.
Yeah,
That's a different
the
budget.
hydrovac,
That's in the different budget.
Yeah,
Okay,
we've already covered that one. That's $6,000
okay,
for that
good enough.
that's on the
backhoe.
yeah, the backhoe and dump truck, I think it was.
Yep. Yeah, that covers all that.
Okay.
So we're good on this one.
Okay, vehicle repair was 500 this year. Do we still need? Do we need to leave 500 in there?
Was there anything carried over from last year
What do you mean?
for vehicle repair?
Every year's a new year, so whatever is not spent dissolves and we start with a fresh, whatever this is.
Okay.
So nothing, yeah, we don't carry.
Did we
No.
not use anything last year?
No,
No,
So might as
we have
well-
all new vehicles, so
Might as well
One.
put the 500 back, other than that truck Bart drives, right?
Right,
yep.
Now we could X that since we upped the supplies.
right.
From last year's quite a bit.
Vehicle oil and gas, we think that's gonna be a lot less.
You can take that down to 4,000, because that's what I put. In
Okay,
the other departments because of the why not car keys now we're going to. So it's a lot cheaper fuel to use in Fastlane. So all the fuel budgets are decreasing.
Oh, yeah.
so we had you,
You could probably reduce it down to 3,500, because I think we did 25%, so whatever 25% is. I mean,
Wanna just say 4,000 just in case?
Yeah.
so 25% would be $1,100 less, so, 3,500, but 4,000 would be a little bit less than 25%, but yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's still going down.
Say 4,000. 3,800, give a little buffer.
I'm okay with
4,000.
4.
4, so there's a little buffer there in
I mean,
case,
four,
yeah.
one, twice.
Well,
in case they grade a
In
little
case
bit.
something does happen, they have a buffer in there.
Yeah, okay.
You still,
Utilities.
let me
Yeah.
go, let me see what the current is. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay,
That way you have an idea, because utilities,
Right,
one of those things, it's kind of static, but could go in there.
yes.
Let me see where we're at.
Mayor Pro Tem, I gotta step out for a minute.
We're under control.
Do you need that? Well, you're all limping like I am.
It's very kind of you to offer this.
As far as like the lab supplies, chemicals, do you see any change in that? Or foresee any change in that, I mean?
Like.
Hmm.
Lab
Oh.
supplies.
The news, we have a new water system going, Michael, is that gonna increase? For the chlorine and stuff system we're getting?
Wastewater.
Oh, wastewater.
Lab supplies of $750. Is that gonna be good enough?
Yeah, that, you don't really do nothing in that lab no more.
So you don't need any lab supplies,
I
0?
mean, I'll use it every now and then
So 500 enough, 750, what do you think?
on the lab supplies, we could do,
Last year you had 750.
yeah, last year I didn't even. We can leave it there. And sometimes I'll. If I short on one area, I usually. I
Move
usually
around, juggle.
jump into one that has money to code it.
Okay.
If I'm running short in one area and I need to pay some, I'll usually use it to code. I'll code it for that. For that line item there.
So we're just trying to
But
make sure we stay in budget, and we added a shit ton to your supplies on those deals. So do you think we could cut the lab supplies a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, you can knock it down to 500.
Okay,
Chemicals?
chemicals for waste, 1,500, 1,000, 1,250?
Yeah, that's the kind of, we use, the bugs are kind of steep. There's 600 a bucket. And they usually tell you to do 2 buckets in the summer, 2 buckets in the winter.
So
But I-
this is right on budget. It might be a little bit up, so we're probably gonna have to increase that one by maybe 1,000 at least.
On which one?
Utilities
Utilities.
or wastewater.
Also put that around 15K.
Yeah, it probably needs to go up a little bit because we're gonna be a little bit over budget this year by about $100.
That chemicals, it should be all right there, 1,500.
But you said $600 a bucket, and you're supposed
Yeah,
to use
but
10.
I haven't been using $600 a bucket. I've been watching Mike, how he's doing it. It's been working. So we've been using 1 bucket throughout the summer and 1 bucket through the winter. He just now used his last set of bugs, his winter bugs.
Well, I think we bump that to 1,800 if it's $600 a bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
All right, so we talked about laboratory supplies down to 500 and treatment chemicals up to 1,800.
Okay. So 500 there, then 1,800 there.
And then 15, you said on the utilities.
Yep.
Is that fair, Mike?
Yeah, that's good.
That gives you a 3rd bucket in case you need it.
Okay.
Tools, I don't know if we. I think we just pretty much keep that the same every year for,
That'll work.
$500.
yeah. That way they can get some wrenches, they break a wrench
Right.
or, you know.
Uh,
odd
stays the
man.
same.
Drop one down in the
Yeah.
lagoon, I ain't gonna go get it.
Come
I'll
on.
buy it one time.
Miscellaneous is the catch-all. It just gives some flexibility for any of these other line items that,
Probably should stay. same.
Yeah,
or if it's something that's not really covered under a specific line item, some kind of
So
unique.
we're gonna see the lab supplies and treatment chemicals stay the same,
Lab supplies, we cut to $500
okay?
and chemicals, we went up to 1,800.
because the bugs are $600 a bucket.
Oh,
And they're
okay.
using just 2 buckets right now, but we figured we better be ready for a 3rd bucket in case we need to.
Big guy, I need to flush some red X. First of the month.
These are buckets of bugs.
Septic.
What's in the buckets?
Bugs.
Okay. Bugs?
Well, they come in a packet, they're the ones that eat the stuff, the sludge and that. And it's a biological thing. They come in a, like a little bag,
So
and
it's,
you throw them in water and let it dissolve. Then Mike pours it down into a distribution box.
so it's really bacteria and other things.
Yeah, it just keeps the bacteria moving.
Okay, all right.
That's
You used
all.
to like to think of them like little Pac-Man deals.
Yeah, a little Pac-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, it should reduce the sludge.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Okay.
like I said, this thing has never been sludge, never been cleaned out or anything. It's thick and we see a lot of sludge in it.
Yeah.
And then,
B and C
I mean, there's
pictures
no-
of Your water bottles and your.
There's no,
tampons and your-
There's no baskets or nothing to catch the solids that come by, like their
Nut sacks
pipes and plastic and whatever they flush down the toilet. It goes through there and it goes into the, I mean, you can go in and look at it and see all
Oh,
that,
I've seen
all
the
the plastic.
pictures. Yeah, all the plastic is. kind of-
Plastic just laying there and it blows across onto the other side when wind blows. On that other end of it, it's just all kinds of plastic, right? I mean, it's way over there out of sight, and I don't think anybody would want to walk over there.
Mhm.
But, I
I'm not
mean,
walking through it.
How's our testing gonna look like this year?
we should be all right.
$500 enough?
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
should be okay. I only do two samples. One in, I'll be doing that one probably Monday. And then I'll do another one in September or something.
And how
So
much
500 will cover,
Yeah.
covers, I try to get one during this budget and then one in the new budget. So that 500 covers the 2 samples I got.
Okay.
I try to stretch my sampling out. If I can do it, and I'll do what I can, which I got for this year, then I'll wait till July, because it gives me the whole year to sample, except for the DVPs. I have to do those in August. And, lead and copper, they put us on a triennial. I won't have to test again until 2027. Because of my low results. I got a letter from EPA last week or the other week, saying that we were triennial instead of annual. So I told Mike, that we're not sampling this year. So that kind of cuts down on the cost there, not.
And did we leave the utilities the same?
Went up 1,000.
Okay.
Water, right? Everybody's on water?
Water.
Mike, what are we doing on water?
Last year was $2,500 for training per water, which is the water conference, except from sewer. I don't know.
You going to the water conference again?
Just Mike,
How much is that conference?
for members, it's $395.
There's travel.
Travel.
How many days is it? Travel and food. lodging, that's probably about $1,500, isn't it?
Wow, it's usually like $150 a night,
Well, plus food.
That's a pretty typical trip in.
and then $200 a day.
Yeah.
Figure that, so 4 days, $800 plus the conference, $1,200 would probably cover the conference and the travel.
Is he reimbursed mileage?
No, we have work vehicles.
So $1,500 for that then? Give a little bit of leeway,
Trading.
so 2,500, cut that down to 1,500. That way there's a little bit of wiggle in case.
And then the meters repair, it was $25,000 was added to that last year. From savings. So. The normal budget would have been 7,500, not 32,005. When you take out that extra
So
25,000,
did we ever get any meters in?
I don't know. Where we're at on that.
Mike,
Hmm.
did we get any meters in this year?
Any meters in?
Yeah, new
Yes.
meters. put in?
No, I haven't ordered any yet. We're gonna be needing some more, cause I had Bart make a count. I think we got down to 2.
I want to get him to order them here pretty quick.
Right, we still have money in our,
Okay, I'll get some ordered Monday
are we gonna need,
or tomorrow, I think. I'll get a hold of Andrew tomorrow.
cause we got, I don't know how many meters, we're missing some and some ain't, I don't know what that count is, but. Are we gonna need more meters next year also, probably?
Probably. I've been trying to make a count of what Bart and Mike been giving me on what we got. All on Mike's, and he has meter not reading or no meter, so he really doesn't know why we're not getting a reading there. But I asked Bart, do you know if there's a meter there, or is there a pit there, or is it inside the house? And he says, well, I really don't know, but they usually look for the reader that's on the outside. But some of them don't, some of them have them, but they won't read. And what I'm thinking is the people inside the houses are cutting the wire. So they can use more water. We just installed a meter at your mom's because of the water that was running down the street all the time. So we just threw that one in there last week. So they have a meter now. And I don't think we bothered anybody because we knock on the door real loud. I don't know if your brother was awake or not.
He works at Fastening.
Oh, does he?
Not, or is it?
Well, the truck was there, the white truck. It was there, but nobody was,
7,500.
but it only took us like
Without that extra 25,000.
less than an hour to.
So he hasn't
Make the
been
connection.
spent.
So I guess it depends on,
Right.
if we take it back to 7,500,
But
but if he's not able to get these all.
I can get a
worked, then
count
we
on
can make adjustment
what I need. I was just gonna
Once he gets. back,
order
it's
like
gonna be
another-
delivered.
I know under my
Everybody's up,
house,
you know?
I've had to have,
Well, we can't do 32,500. We have to take.
I had a water leak.
You can cover that. That's why
And
7,500.
I ran in because my reader,
What it was last
my
year.
meter don't read no more,
Without.
but
Without
it's leaking out the top. Wires aren't disconnected or nothing, but it's leaking out
But I
the
mean,
top and out the bottom,
Turn,
and the
took
plumber
it down
came
to
in
10,000 or whatever.
and had to shut it off.
I think we
There,
could
that's where
afford
my
that
shut off
probably, but,
is,
Um,
and shut it off to
much higher
fix the
than that. We
leak.
probably have to pull from savings.
And he
next year
said that
too.
My meter's so
But
old,
if he doesn't pull.
should have never
this
been
year,
installed
then
in
we
my house
Readjust it
because
later.
of the.
Yeah, let's do that.
I just think.
whatever.
must
for now,
be the,
Cause we got time to
panel.
get them ordered, so.
and those
still
those
got
old ones,
May,
they
June.
still have
To pay for them.
He
tendency
said,
to have that.
If he gets on.
That
it,
lead and
yeah,
copper?
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
he said,
They'd be
if
sitting there
you
and
take it
losing
apart,
LED to-
per
And
whatever,
10,000 would still be the
rule,
increase from what. it was
you
previously,
cannot-
Minus some savings.
if you take one screw off of it,
Yeah.
he said, this is the plumber that we had come over. You cannot put that thing back together. You gotta pull it out because you're opening it up to lead poisoning or mercury poisoning or something or another. So it has to be removed and replaced. So it doesn't matter what you try to do to fix the
Oh,
issue.
to do this town, we're looking at probably $500,000.
Right.
This ain't gonna happen.
So He said that it
can't
would
do it.
have to be replaced. So what I did was I told Chris, I know what my normal bill was in the summertime. So when I come in, Melissa essentially figured out what my average was, and that's what I pay every month. So even though in the winter, the normal person is paying this normal water rate like everybody else, the winter rate, I don't pay the winter rate. I pay an average for the year what I paid them in the past. Because it's about meter don't work. But that's me taking good due diligence and having good
But-
faith.
Like the difference between the cemetery and the park, the
Sprinklers.
yeah, the sprinklers down there at the park, down at the
Yeah.
SRO building. Their meter wasn't working, they weren't paying nothing. The cemetery, they said, well, this is what it cost last year, they just wrote us a check, it quit working, they just wrote us a check.
Right.
Sent it in, that's what it would have cost. They just went off that and everybody was happy.
So we're feeling like we can spend the rest of this year's budget on meters, probably getting them ordered, at least getting them in, I guess.
How many meters does that buy, do you know?
Not those RPs.
Remember
They're kind of expensive.
Maybe they're like, what was it, like $1,200.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's gonna buy roughly 14, 13 meters.
Yeah, I was thinking I was gonna get 10. You know, that's what I usually go is get 10 of them. If I get 10 meters, 10 pits, everything that I need to install, the coil. I usually try to stay in 10 so I know where I have enough money.
Okay.
But I don't know how much they've gone up or if they've gone up. I haven't checked into them this year because I have a new,
Since he hasn't bought any. At this point, do we want to budget another 32,000 for next year or do we?
That was a
just-
pretty good hit on savings. is what
I'd say we wait, and if he can't get them ordered this year, then we adjust it.
Right.
Let's assume he's gonna get them ordered and we're gonna get them paid. for
yeah,
this
I
year.
can get them ordered.
And then we'll have
not,
a pile
then we'll
sitting
have to-
there,
right.
have all year to put them in. These guys got a lot to do. If they can get them in throughout the year, that'd be pretty awesome.
And I think that, normally, like I said, normally last year, before this, it was 7,500. But I think if we move it to 10,000, that way he has more flexibility with prices increasing to still buy some more next year in addition to what he buys this year. And if he's not able to buy them this year, then we can shift this money into next year and rebudget it later. But I think, I mean, because you usually get 7,500, but an extra 2,500 would give him, an extra 2 meters that he could buy next year as well, without having to pull from savings.
Okay, so
But we'll have
What
to
do we-
make sure he's able to order them.
what are we gonna do there then?
$10,000 for this year.
10 meters at 1,200 apiece is
12,000.
12,000.
Yeah, but we've got, out of the 32,500 from this current year, not much of that is spent. We can order a pile of them on this year.
We're thinking we can order.
And then he can order another 5 or 8 next year. In addition to the 10 this year.
But the meters and repairs, not just meters, like Mike said, to hit the plumbing parts, so it's less than.
Mike, do we want to change style the meters? We're buying that many because,
Well, I'm going to the read meters now.
yeah,
I'm still waiting for Andrew to send me the component that'll activate them.
okay,
That, I think that was the cost, 1,500, I think, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
I forget what it's called.
We're trying to modernize them, that's what.
Yeah,
that's what
we're
trying to
getting
do.
the newer ones.
Right,
I'm buying the newer ones.
And just let me know, or so for the next meeting, that if you're not able to get these ordered, that way we can make.
Yeah, I'll get a price tomorrow. I'm gonna
Right.
talk with Andrew.
But currently, there's a pile of money there to just order them, already approved last
right,
year.
Yeah. And if you're not able to get it in time, then we'll have to adjust that.
All
yeah.
right, let's move on.
Anyway, let's,
10,000.
supplies, we had 2,000 last year. What are we, how's that looking? What supplies do you think you might need?
Well, that's Bart, what's all we got there. Maybe bump it up 1,000. I don't know what all Bart's gonna need.
Well, that works because we can reduce the vehicle and gas down to 4,000 on this
There
one
we
too.
So supplies at 3, oil and gas at 4. Meter reader program, we had 2,000 for that and we're still figuring 2,000.
Yeah, that's-
That covers that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the bill is on that one.
And you said oil and gas down to 4,000?
Yep,
Parts and repair, keep it at 15,
Yeah,
since we just increased supplies.
yeah.
Water line maintenance, what well line replacement and maintenance? Is that the well line that we
That's
keep
like-
breaking?
that's the one that we used for like when we had replaced the motor on well 2. That's where that goes to.
Let's leave that where.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that-
leave it.
That's pretty
motor
damn
cost-
pricey. That one was way more than $6,000.
That motor costs 10,000 now.
Yeah,
They're no
well,
longer.
there's no way to predict it, but yeah, that's what Mike uses it for when you're doing the
Yeah.
wells, all that
Okay.
stuff. Or getting cameras to come look at it or whatever he has to do. So that one has
Well-
to stay kind of high.
So keep it at 6.
Is that enough? Just a question.
We don't know. I mean, some years we don't, he doesn't have a
Use
lot of
any of it.
maintenance he has to do. This past year, it's been
Yeah,
a lot more than normal, it's,
Yeah, it all depends.
I mean, you might want to actually increase it a little bit, maybe like to 10,000 and give them some.
that was the question. I think that's what Jordan was asking.
That's what I was thinking we increase it to 10 was what I had in mind, but
You can talk to Mike, but Mike, I mean.
I know
he
we
can't
don't
give you any
know.
more of a guarantee because he might not
Point.
spend any. But he might spend 20,000, we don't know. So I
I'd
think.
rather
Yeah.
be too much than not enough.
Yeah,
Right. Go with 10. Right, Jake? Mark?
I'm good.
Okay. And it is. Utilities,
you might want to increase that to what it was the year before, because
27.5.
yeah, I think we're gonna be a little bit higher than 26. Unless there's some magic reduction
Okay.
in price of power.
Did we,
Computer supplies and maintenance, that
Uh,
could be cut, huh?
Yeah, he doesn't need that anymore because they got new computers now.
and
Right, Mike? You got all new computers now, right?
yeah,
SCADA, same.
and we still got a phone line we're gonna have to put in for that, right?
The
The SCADA phone line?
That's our current phone bill that we get for the current.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so that's why I said 1,000, because that's just what it costs.
okay.
Water system evaluation.
Don't have anything there. You can nix the WWDC loan payment. That is fully paid off now, so we finally paid off that loan.
Chlorination.
That's
35 still. Good number.
the water system evaluation, we're not doing anything this year,
Nope.
okay?
EPA
Okay.
testing.
What was it?
What's that?
Mike
Yeah, it's
chlorination?
Same, same last year, 35.
35.
It's,
Yeah,
EPA testing.
and EPA, I'm the mayor.
Calm down. It's not that big of a deal. You're also the mayor that's booking countless budget meetings when we don't need to do the shit every
Okay,
Tuesday.
okay, let's go on, guys, come on. The
We're not-
EPA testing. Where are we
4,000
at?
still. I
Huh?
still stay under that, yeah,
Still stay under that?
yeah.
Control.
I still got like 2,800 to spend. That'll
2,800,
take care of my,
okay,
what I got nitrates and PFAS and there's another one. Oh, my VOCs that I'll be doing
so
this budget. So that 2,800 should cover it.
2,800?
Drop it to 28 instead of 4,000.
Well, that's about how much I got left. 2,800.
Well, I know, but that's for this budget year. This is for next. So this will
But
be-
then, see, I'm gonna be doing, that 4,000 usually gets me through the
Okay, so leave it at
Two.
4,000. Okay, let's
It
see.
gets me through what I usually do.
Okay,
And I can't predict if it's gonna be less with, I mean, I know it's gonna be less without my lead and copper. Lead and copper used to. But now I go to a triennial. That's every 3 years that I'll. But it's but that's up to EPA too. They can,
Add it back in.
they can do anything they want. I mean,
Right.
I
So
can't,
let's just plan for it, I think.
I really don't know. I mean, it'll change and depends on who's in that position. I mean, there's a big turnover all the time with whoever's the manager. Right. Cause they all different role managers for each of the tests. Cause I'll start working on one and then pretty soon they're gone. And it's like, Matt Langenfeld. He's the head room manager that I gotta deal with. All last year, he was in furlough to Hawaii. And the only way I would be able to get him was by email. Cause I'd call his office, I'd call his phone, but he would never answer. But then I'd start emailing him, then that's when I would get an answer from him. He's the groundwater manager. He's the one who deals with the wells. But he's,
are we good with tools, Mike, or do we want to leave that the same?
yeah,
Okay. Miscellaneous, what have we been using that for?
Bad days.
Just to cover things.
yeah,
Is that a
just
good
cover
number?
other
Is
stuff.
that a good number?
Yeah, that's still good.
Okay. If water tank cleaning.
That can be 0 because we just did it this year.
That's already done. We won't have to do that
Okay,
until
that's,
another, see, I had it clean last year, so another 5 years from last year.
we got any, capital outlay for equipment? Do we? Anything planned? That you need?
No, we're still looking at kind of the wish list here. They want a loader. On the wastewater one. That's what I didn't see was. Well, that one, either the sewer jet rentals. I mean, I spent a little over probably 4,000 this year on that. Post office.
Right?
This last one was 25. 15, I don't know what the first one was. I forget what the first one, 1,900 or something like that.
Would that come out
It's in the sewer rentals, but then again, we have that back truck, but it don't.
we need to
Don't
repair
work.
it?
So this is where, I don't know how much money I'd have to put into it to get it to work. Because I think there's four cylinders that are all they're all leaking. They all gotta be repacked. We were looking around in the shop, see if there's tools that will take them apart so we can repack them, but I can't find any. I don't have any tools for that type of thing.
Yeah.
Mike hasn't seen any either.
Well, I haven't done it in years, but I used to do it.
Yeah,
So I have to do that. I don't know,
but yeah, like I said, I don't know how much we want to put into that. Then I don't know that foam or that sponge part that I got will cover that gap that's there, so the
Right.
vacuum doesn't work. I got a gap about like that. So it's either the cylinders bleeding off and lifting up, or that piece that I got goes in there, but when I called up there and looked at it, it's like a sponge goes on inside of that. So you're still gonna have that gap. I bought that piece for it that I thought would cover that, but.
If we could get
Examine it looks like it goes in.
an estimate on getting that truck all up to snuff and maybe try, if it's doable, get it in the budget.
Right. It's something, that's a handy piece of equipment they need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
mean,
need,
it'll work.
not
I
a
mean,
want,
we,
it's a need.
Oh, yeah.
I can figure out what's.
I wonder if that'd be the way to do is try to
do-
pick a shop or whatever and get some estimates on it so we can budget.
Yeah, that and
I'd rather
there's
spend,
a leak underneath somewhere. I mean,
I'd rather spend the money in repairs than rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agree.
we'll have to get, see if we can. I don't know who works on them.
maybe
Right.
Perry,
Huh?
Perry's diesel.
Straight into your house.
I'm
I was
upstate.
looking at you when I said that,
I'm,
hydraulics.
I have nothing to say about nothing. Bombs. There's, I'm not gonna advertise the best diesel shop in Fremont County and possibly the whole state because I work there. I think that would be inappropriate. So.
We just asked, do
Yeah.
they work on hydraulics?
Yeah, we do. That's
And they're
job
close,
security.
and they're Fremont County.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be best to get an estimate or two. though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know that at Perry's they've worked on back trucks and
Okay,
like for full gates, for Tribe's got a couple of them, Bornoff's got one. We've worked on pretty much all of them at one point or the other.
okay.
But I'm not advertising for my
No.
place of employment.
Correct, you're not. We need to get some professionals that do this for a living, look at it. Preferably somebody local.
Yeah, and that's, I know there's a lot of companies that even if it costs a little more locally, it's still cheaper than paying two guys to drill it.
Right.
Casper, Billings, drop it off, two guys come
Correct.
back.
Yep.
Go back and get it, come back, that adds up fast.
So that's waste
Wastewater, yeah,
water.
we should get
We
it.
got a good start on that. Yeah, that was basically it. That covers Mike's. Correct? Yep.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Airport. Do we need to do it? We don't need to do anything there, then maybe blade it.
Already,
It's already
we
done.
already dug both runway.
Okay,
That's already fixed up.
fencing.
We changed that windsock last year and
Mhm.
fixed that circle.
We need to do any fence repair or something, we brought that up.
Well, yeah. We're not required to do, but should we? Yeah, that fence is bad shape, but we'd have to get an estimate, see what that would. They're, the YDOT, they also oversee airports. And they let us, because we're dirt runway and everything else, they let us get away with a lot. But they would like to see the fence at some time. That's something that needs to be done, but they're not forcing us at this time to do it.
Cause last January, we were gonna get the whole airport situation revisited on what we gotta do to clean it up a little.
Yeah,
And
would
adjust
be
the
a-
rates.
no, would help. We can get try to get an estimate of putting, what's gonna cost to put some fencing up, but it really does need it, that's for sure.
It's a lot.
And 3 bar, probably not 2 strand anymore, and that's what's there now.
That's 2 strand.
But there is.
So
yeah,
why
it's
don't we get
pretty-
an estimate on it and just see what's,
Yeah, that's what let's do.
Do we wanna get an estimate on them buildings? Are we gonna tear those
No,
out?
we're not.
that one, the wind should take it out here pretty soon.
Probably
Yeah.
need to,
We don't own the buildings.
well, I get that. Did everybody renew?
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, for 6 months.
Everybody did renew?
I think we had one that didn't, well, I heard,
Not in charge of that anymore.
okay,
I
I think I heard we had one that didn't.
You don't recall, I don't know if you heard that or not.
Was that the one that building was ready for the wolf to puff it down?
I'm not sure. But I think there was one that
I drove out there the other day and that's
Yeah.
about 2 more windstorms from being in a
I
pond.
know.
yeah, they definitely needs. It's
If we fenced it. Where would we get the money from? But
General fund.
we would have to raise the rates so that it could eventually pay back. I guess.
I could be speaking out of turn, but I would venture to guess that one individual out there would probably be willing to put in some sweat equity.
Yeah, very,
So she said all three of them renewed.
okay,
Well, it's something that we can just look at and see what,
what we're looking at. Doesn't hurt to look.
so let's move on.
Library, I don't think we're
Kind of getting out of pages here.
we got anything that we might have quit paying. There was an online service we were paying for. Is that gone away?
No, she still pays out of supplies. It's
Okay,
only like $200 a year though.
okay. So,
No change.
no, so we'll leave it at 500, yeah.
There's no miscellaneous proposed for library, but I feel like there should be something there if the need arises. It's bad. Or did we use any miscellaneous, do you know?
She's used it to buy some of the framing stuff and the shelving and stuff like that, but I think she's got all that purchase, so that she needs. Like, there's nothing requested, I guess, in the library from that, but we always.
Well, yeah, there was $1,000 last year. We put in like $500.
We can do 500, just.
I mean, there should be something there if somebody,
In case she needs.
if there's a library.
Shelving or books or something.
On miscellaneous,
Yeah.
Library.
okay. Makes sense.
Firewall pretty much is preset minus miscellaneous. The mill levy is pretty much preset, the utilities are kind of what they are. The telephone is what it is, so the supplies are $100. They don't really, a lot of that's just kind of kitchen stuff, cleaning supplies or whatever, and then the miscellaneous maintenance is just, same thing, just. Unless you want to adjust that, just
Leave it the same.
No change, I would say.
Yeah. That's good.
I think about 2 years ago, we used $1,000 to buy the TV. So I mean, that's
Right.
just little stuff like that is what it's used for.
Did we mention clinic yet?
Well, the clinic again, that one's pretty much preset too.
Right. What I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
There's only utilities, telephone and the cleaning contract, so.
No change.
Any change?
Court, are we gonna go to council? What do we?
We already did court. Those other policemen were covering that.
Yeah.
You weren't here.
It's,
Well, council it is.
if. Court, are we addressing,
We already did the court.
did we address the attorneys?
No, that was something that was
Okay.
being addressed and we didn't know
Okay,
as far as the town attorney.
Right.
Yeah, that was the one that's kind of stripped out, but everything else we discussed with the attorney. I don't think we ever,
I
Okay.
feel like if we. Maybe there's. More questions to be asked, but I feel like if we don't have our attorney in the contract like we do, it's gonna cost a lot more
I agree.
by the. At the end of the year.
Agree.
I don't really. Nels, well. If we don't have the attorney at every meeting,
Yeah, maybe negotiate that back a little bit. I don't know that he
You
needs
know.
to be at every meeting.
I think he needs to be here very seldom. And that's around approximately $600, even a round number to 625 or 650, whatever.
Yeah, but if he
Or-
ended up giving 3 hours a week at court, that's $750 a week. So which is better, 600 or 750? And then he still can come to city council. No more money.
I think what he's saying is if we could negotiate the contract to take out coming to meetings for a lower rate.
Oh, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
As far as,
And it could kill us in the end where something comes up and we end up having to pay him big time.
no, I'm saying. I think what he's saying is stay in contract like we are, but maybe say, well. Could we get a little bit lower rate if you don't physically show up to every meeting? Or, a couple of the extra things. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think it's,
But still, and maybe you would say no.
I don't think that's a good.
I'd like to keep Marshall in.
that's a lot of money out of our budget.
You can take part of it out of court and part of it out of city.
Well, there's very little that should be coming out of the city. That's probably what brought this on, it mainly is court.
Yeah, but he's did a lot of things for the city too.
I don't think there's anything to debate here.
well, I think coding it properly, I think that. Never finished that, but I think right now he's probably at least 80% of. His work is in the court. So changing the allocation from charging city administration, putting it in the court, at least. I mean, you're just still prepared to pay Paul essentially in the overall scheme of things, but it's at least putting it in the right department.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, I think he does need to be at the council meetings, whether he's here physically or voiced in online. And if we can cut costs by him being voiced in online, I'm okay with looking into that, but I don't think we exclude him to not be here to cover us. Especially with the things that we've endured from prior people that have been on this council and all the headaches that have been brought to the forefront. I don't think we should put ourselves in that situation.
I agree with you.
I don't think it's needed. I really.
It came to
Really,
your favor with that individual that's been in here and been a thorn in some sides.
well, Yes,
So I do think it's needed.
I don't think we have the issues we used to have. But it's, if we need an attorney, we can always ask him to be here, but, that required he being here, and that's sort of, he makes, quite a few trips.
And he can phone in. So we don't have to make the
He
trip.
zooms in a lot.
I don't think that's up for debate, my personal opinion, and that's
I
where I
don't think
stand.
so either.
I don't think we want to put the town in any sort of liability.
That's a lot of money for,
It's really not. $3,600.
huh? I don't- No, we're paying $30,000. That's
But it's
what I'm talking
2,400
about.
a month,
2,525.
so it's $625 a week. If he does 3 hours of court, that's 750.
Or 3 hours of phone calls,
Yeah.
emails, or researching. Pretty cheap.
We're better off keeping him where we have him.
I don't know. Mark? Oh, typically 6 to 8 hours a month for court,
8 hours is $2,000.
right? 6 hours, 1,500, yeah. So on
And
the,
if anything
on the
else,
high side, it'd be 24,000. But that's not counting.
anything
That's not
else.
counting driving back and
Well,
forth.
that's not counting any other issues.
Where is this 30,000, Joel?
It's split
Look in
between
the
town.
general,
It's in general, and it shouldn't be there. It should be in 80%, like Chris said, should be in court.
General,
Which we can flip flop those two.
Yeah, we flip flop them, and then it's more.
more appropriate.
It doesn't affect the overall number of the bottom line number, of the budget, but it puts it in the right parts. for-
So,
And then the clerk won't be.
so
Yes.
probably all we're talking about is saving $6,000.
and then the court expenditure.
But
Also, it's more.
it could be 18 to. It could be 18 to $24,000 on just on court. That's a range. Well, we can leave it the way it is. I just had to bring it up, and part of it was it's not getting coded right.
I think we definitely need to fix the coding.
Right.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because it's not apparent. The clerk looked at where is all this going, and so. I've tried to do some research on, and that's what I came up with, most of it gets spent on court costs. Deal not with court, a lot of it is talking with CDL drivers, not actually in court, but in negotiating to keep it out of court. That's,
Well, I mean, if we're gonna be properly dispersing the attorney costs, there should be some under council expenditures. I don't know, or does that just fall under the general?
Typically, it's under general administration.
Cause I mean, all it takes is one retired school teacher throwing a fit to take up 10 hours of Marshall's time. That's $2,500.
That's my point.
Just like that, cause somebody's not feeling important enough or something. I don't know.
But in the meantime, I mean, we can flip flop.
Yeah.
Admin to court to
Right.
admin to make it more attributable.
Or gets down a dark rabbit hole and wants to chase
Well,
after a
Well, I was just talking
rabbit
about
snake.
about the distribution of the GLs between admin and court. We can flip those around.
but typically right now, 80% of it is probably
Court, which if we flipped them, that's pretty close to what it would be. Close. Cause we're paying. $26,400 out of general admin. So if we put 24,000 in court and then 6,000 in general admin, that'd be 80/20.
Sure.
I guess, I mean, just to
Right.
get, the only thing we're fixing is just putting them in the right kind of categories. We're not changing anything as far as what you were talking about, but just where it's coming from, the split.
Moving on,
Yep.
No change.
no change.
What do you want? Do you want to
Change
change
the coding. Change the coding.
wording, 80/20?
Yep,
Like 20.
Yeah, if the coding would have been changed, it probably wouldn't have came up.
when we're on council expenditure. This travel and training is this for everybody to like go to Wham and
No,
no,
that comes out of conventions. Out of general admin, conventions.
what's the travel and training then?
That is any other travel from council. Outside of Wham. So like,
Didn't this used to be way lower before?
second, let me tell you what it was.
I think that the travel and training budget, what used to be, 5,000. Isn't that right, Christopher?
Depends on the year. It's changed over the years. So in 2022. I don't think I can look it up. Never mind. I thought I could.
I probably got the books in my office. We need them.
That's what I was looking for. I thought I had them.
Oh, okay.
Them on here. Yeah, I can grab them real quick, or you can grab them,
Yeah.
because I don't. I think it'd be on your online, it just has the overall budget ordinance, doesn't have the. Or maybe I'm seeing the wrong one.
When does the vehicle go in that we're gonna have for town?
April 14th. It'll take a week, so it should be done or stripped by about 21st, give or take.
So that means that we wouldn't need this travel and training so high, but we're gonna have that vehicle.
With the line out fuel card.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we could knock it down to $2,500.
What's it cover? That 10,000, what does that cover?
Did you hear that? I think it covers mileage and any other costs associated with traveling. If you have hotels, if they were required hotels, would it be under that? Mileage reimbursement, meals, all that. In association.
But that's not Wham, and that's all covered under something different.
Wham is covered under, just Wham is covered under the conventions, everything else would.
And the
cover-
motels and everything.
Yes, I mean, just for when.
Right. Well, any training, right? Some of these classes that we have to go through.
Yeah, through web, yeah,
Right.
they're required, yeah.
Durango vehicle goes in to be put back into a civilian passenger car on April 14th.
Mhm. I don't, they said it'll take about a week, but I mean,
Probably 2 weeks then.
it's
So
Comtech.
2 days to 21 days.
Yeah, it's Comtech, so, it's a crapshoot, but I would imagine by the end of April, we'll have it back and it'll be stripped. And then,
And being stripped, then it's totally ready for just daily driver.
yeah, so
essentially.
they'll remove the lights, they're gonna leave the grill guard on it because it's not really reusable, but they'll take the lights out of it, so it doesn't have red and blue lights, but it'll have the,
I want the lights on it.
yeah, no, you don't get those.
What about the white ones?
And all the interior lights, the police lights will be taken out, the, the decals on it, that says police will be buffed out, taken off.
Spotlight still?
That, the light will still be on there though,
Cool.
because the only way they can remove that is to take it off and put a cap on it.
Mark was wondering, so.
But, yeah, you'll still have a spotlight, so,
Spotlight somebody.
Yeah, you can't, I mean,
in case
you
he's
could take it
driving
hunting, I
to see
guess, and,
somebody.
You know that they're crashing into my tree up front anyway, right? So. Yeah.
Are you gonna leave the back cage in?
no, you don't get the
And
cage.
there's someone interested, there may have somebody interested in buying it with the cage in it.
We're not selling
We're
it.
not selling.
We may.
I don't wanna
No.
sell it. I think it's a great attribute to our town to have a vehicle to run.
Well, I prefer to sell it and buy something at similar cost. It's more
What are we gonna get out of it? $12,000?
10 to 12, yeah.
And you're not gonna buy anything that's nice with
That's
that much.
nice as that for 10 to 12,000 bucks.
I
with a
think
brand new
so.
motor? I don't think so.
We're keeping it.
Do all the parts that are getting pulled out of there, are they being recycled into the new vehicle?
Yeah, that was to keep the cost down on the outfit, is to reuse the majority of what we can instead of buying brand new stuff.
You know, I personally think we should sell it and buy a more suitable vehicle for travel.
What's wrong with that one for travel?
Not comfortable. I'd prefer to get something like a Tahoe size vehicle.
Didn't we all, but it's not what we have.
Well, no, but that's what we should get.
You're not
Trying
gonna
to
find a
save money.
Tahoe for 10 or 12,000 bucks
Yeah, you can. Doesn't have to be a newer one.
with 170,000 miles.
Yeah, or 140. How many miles do you have on your Suburban, Jake?
207, but what bothers me is it stopped ticking at about 202. I don't know
Uh-oh.
why it stopped ticking.
Mechanic, they could figure that out.
I don't think we should increase our mileage after potential maintenance on a vehicle.
But these,
That thing has a new motor in it.
no,
No, not that one.
Not that one.
That doesn't have the new motor. What
No, that was
done to
the,
it?
the one that was covered on a warranty that has a new motor is the 21 Durango. They got a new motor, but it was in a warranty.
What has been done to that though? Cause it has spent some time.
It has new,
Body parts. Heard a guy smashed a deer.
maybe. Actually, the deer smashed me, thank you. That was just a new hood. And new light. It got new, lifters. But about 48,000 miles. It was under warranty still,
What's the mileage on it now?
89,000.
It's worth keeping.
But how many hours has the engine got?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because they idle all the time.
Did you guys want the breakdown of what the travel and training used to be?
Yeah,
Okay, so in March of 2023, it was 5,000. Then April 2023, it went to 5650. And then in June, I gotta change my screen. It went to 7,500. Let me change my screen. Hold on.
That was in 23.
Yeah, the 5,000.
Okay.
Hold
What
on.
was the 7,500 went,
That was in June of 2024. And then July 2024, it went to 10,000.
You know what it was in 2022?
Yep. Hold on one sec. Okay, so 2,500. June of 2022, and then July 1st, 2022, it went to 5,000. So it doubled.
so it's went up $7,500 in 2 years.
Yep.
Actually 3 years, but. From 22 to 25. 24, 23, 24.
Well, from 22 to 24, 724 is 10,000. If we have our own vehicle, it shouldn't have to be that high with our
Well,
own
that
gas
should save
card.
a lot, that's why.
So we
I-
could knock it back down to $2,500 if we have the vehicle and the own gas card.
We ought to look and see how much money we spent on that, and then we can get a real number.
Yeah, I'd like to see analysis of that
Yeah.
budget, just to see just what it's being used for,
Yeah.
and then we can talk about it, that's the
Okay.
way it should be used.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, who utilizes that budget the most, I guess? Is it,
I would guess it would be the mayor. And I don't know who else.
Does that pay for your food and everything else?
Yes.
Willie?
It pays for food and motels or whatever's
So-
involved.
food as in, is that for trips to Riverton, Lander?
Casper, Cheyenne,
So I'm not worried about Casper, Cheyenne. I'm worried about Riverton, trip to Riverton, Lander.
if it involves all day when I'm there at lunch, yes. If I'm on city business that keeps me away from home.
How many
If
times-
I'm on city business that doesn't keep me away from home, it does not, you know. Only if I'm I'm on,
How
you
many
know,
times?
like next week, I'm gonna be 4 days in Riverton.
And what for?
The governor's economic summit at CWC. Gonna be in 4 days in Riverton.
Don't they feed you at the college?
Yeah, they should. Yeah, but I wouldn't be buying it, but I will be, that's just for instance, but I'm gonna be there 4 days.
But if you had a car and fuel,
Yeah,
right, you won't this time, but. So can you shed light on us? Cause I'm not
Okay.
questioning you. I don't know.
okay,
Can you shed your weekly trips so I understand a little bit more and can
okay, wait,
understand this?
Do we want to, sorry, just let me interject here, I understood this budget meeting was to be just kind of looking generally and trying to get. You know, what Mike was doing and what others were doing, now we're getting into the weeds of this budget. You know, so I know we need to get into the weeds with this budget, I do, you know.
We're done with the budget, essentially. We're getting to the weeds of it. We're saying that we've had a 75% increase over 3 years in travel.
And I'm saying we're going down a bunny hole right now.
I don't think we are.
Well, I think we are. I mean, we're gonna have more detail. We're gonna have more. We talked about doing an analysis of this budget just to see where it was at. and see where it was spent, and then having a good, collegial discussion about just what is it supposed to be there for, and what is it supposed to be doing. So why are we trying to solve details of the budget today when this is just supposed to be an overview? That was my understanding of what this meeting and the previous meetings are supposed to be.
All I'm asking is trying to understand.
Okay, I made multiple trips to BLM this last year, multiple trips. Out to the tribes, because we did not have an easement. It's I went, I
And
travel
specifically
for
referring to
the
the
town of
water,
Shoshoni.
water tank and road improvements and easements.
I made multiple trips
So,
through there.
That one was pretty.
Been
So,
BLM.
Mark, we can get a print off. Since you said you wanted to print off the detail, I know she can do a print off that has all the charges and then we can email it to all the accounts, so that way you can look at it.
I like to see it, analyzed, I mean, the analysis.
You analyze it.
Give it to me, I will.
Thank
You know?
you.
I'd be happy to do that.
I was trying to be funny, not aggressive, by the way. I may have come across as aggressive and I apologize if it did. I'm tired, but.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Don't be a wise ass.
But it's,
Okay, that's fine.
it's.
Not a problem.
I'm not.
But I spend a lot of time, I work hours, I work.
I'm not
Saturday and
playing.
Sunday.
I'm not questioning you. I'm not coming at you.
No,
I
I'm
could
just
think
saying.
we could probably cut some spending there.
Well, I think we can save a bunch by utilize a town vehicle. Cause I'm tired of wearing out my truck, as much driving as I do. If I didn't do that, then it's not a big deal, but I'm very active on trying to promote the town of Shoshoni. I'm very active on trying to sell land. I'm very active on trying to promote Wyoming cardiopulmonary getting here. It's and that leads me into spending a lot of hours for the town of Shoshoni. That leads me in travel. If I don't promote Shoshoni and I have it, promoting it enhances our chances on getting grants.
I'm not
Looking, it's just, it takes time. We got, I just don't know how else to explain it.
We've gotten into the weeds on what his cost was per
Yeah. I just thought we
fitting,
were
and
here
we've gotten
trying to
into
see
the
what we
nitty
have to
gritty.
cut.
So the first meeting where we're talking about that I missed workshop over wages and compensation, I feel like we should consider getting out of the weeds. But I feel like we should consider leaving all our salaries and wages where they are, do the 3.5% increase. And then do a end of calendar year bonus. That way we're not locked in. If mineral royalties, coals down, all that here in a year or two, when that hits us, we're not locked in on something that can't connect on. But if things stay right, then we could add another percentage. And I feel like that's where we should be on employee wages.
Was that 3% or 3.5%?
3.5.
Well, 3.5 will fit if we can, or 3 if it won't.
I think the original number you've seen was 3.
I'm in favor of 3.5 and an end of the year bonus.
Good.
End of the calendar year.
End of the
Right.
calendar year bonus.
And they have to
Right.
be here until that.
Right, yeah, I mean,
So it's kind of a retention
But-
bonus as well.
Mhm.
But I think we need to sort the rest of this before we sort out we're not voting on anything tonight,
Mm.
but we can look at, but I think we need to look at everything and then see where where we're at with our increase.
Well, I just
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that, I think that idea does make sense and doesn't lock us into
Oh, no,
years
no,
to
no.
come. And
But it gets
create,
them all that we can this year.
Right.
and in
No, I
case
agree.
years of revenue do.
Well, the reason I brought it
plummet.
up is that we're gonna have fresh redone
Numbers.
numbers based off of discussions tonight. I thought that might be, if no one objects, that might be the way to go.
I'm in favor of that. I think I think that's a smart, long-term idea.
And then if we can afford it, we will. we'll get
Just
it.
because if revenues do increase in years to come, it doesn't lock us into something we necessarily can't.
No, there's another thing, speaking in employees, I know. Chris hired someone part-time to sort of try to help get caught up with court. How did, are we still behind on that, or how are we?
No, we got everything caught up for the year. And she still had a couple. 3 more weeks, but she ended up getting a job with BIA. So we left a little bit earlier than that, but that process was, she got all of it.
We got that all caught up.
Yeah. And now we just gotta stay caught up.
Drive by BAIA's yard, them boys ain't afraid, and girls ain't afraid to mix it up, man. They got some wrecked cars.
And when we hired her, we were hoping that she would take the open position, that she would transition to that, but she ended up getting an offer from BIA that paid a lot more than we could offer,
Right.
so she went there, and wouldn't blame them, but it is what it is. But we hired a good person, Megan, instead, so I think we still got a good employee out of it.
We got a real good employee out of it.
All right, can we call it a night?
No, I'm not quite done. I want to bring something else up. I think. I still think our clerk staff needs some part-time help. So, once you
Clerk staff.
sort of think on that, I think at times. Kim is really swamped. Melissa stays pretty busy where she's doing. Kathy's pretty busy with court. But there's I think. Really think we need to look at possible some part-time help there. So. Just think of that, and then we can talk about that later, but I really think that's I think that next be something that's well needed. Cause it's awful busy for our ladies back there. Everybody's pretty hooked up. So. Anybody, anything else? Have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
They moved by Councilwoman Herky, second by Councilman Nordine. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, same. Motion passed on the affirmative, approximately